What is up, guys? In today's video, we got the first major update of Fortnite Chapter 4 Season 2, and this is also the Spring or Easter update as well, so there's a lot of content added in this week's update. If you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful and informative, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below what you are most excited about in this week's Fortnite update. As I said, this is the Easter update, so there is a lot of Easter-themed changes in this week's update that will be temporary until like the next major update, or until after Easter. The first is going to be that the Easter egg launcher was unvaulted. This is a reskin of the grenade launcher, which shoots Easter eggs, and they do bounce around. Of the grenade launcher variants that exist, I feel like this is the worst one. I've never really enjoyed it that much, but to be honest, I prefer it that way. That way we don't have like an overpowered explosive weapon in the game. It's like one of those things where it's kind of fun to play around with, I guess, for some people, but I really don't think it's that practical. We also got several different types of eggs that are now laid by chickens. There's heal eggs, which give you health and shield over time. There's low gravity eggs, which give you the low gravity effect or the hop rock effect, similar to what the hop rock dollies had last season. And then you also get health over time with this one. And then there's also golden eggs, which I assume will be more rare than the other two, but these will give you both full health and shield, and I would assume it's immediately because the other eggs mentioned over time effect, and it doesn't mention that for this one. So yeah, we got the Easter egg launcher in the game, 3 types of new Easter eggs that you can use, and then there also is Easter related challenges for free rewards that you will get for completing the challenges. I'll have them on screen now. As always, these free rewards aren't the best, but they're free rewards. So if you get on and do the challenges, you'll get some XP and you'll get these rewards as well. I feel like there's a lot of people that always, like collecting all of the different like holiday themed cosmetics. There was also a few new augments added in this week's update, which I'm sure a lot of people will be excited for, because the augment selection so far in Chapter 4 Season 2 has been really underwhelming, and I really don't think that changed with this update. We have 5 new augments. Rail Warrior is one of them. This makes it to where you regenerate health and shield while on grind rails or zip lines. And then Aquatic Warrior is one as well, which makes you heal while in water, similar to the Bush Warrior. Both Rail Warrior and Aquatic Warrior work like Bush Warrior in the sense that you'll get the health over time, and then you're capped at 100 full HP and 50 shield. Once you get to that point, you're not going to regenerate shield anymore. And I feel like both Rail Warrior and Aquatic Warrior are significantly worse than Bush Warrior, because with Bush Warrior, you were hidden from the rest of the map. Like, people could shoot you through the bush depending on the angle they had, or if they just got lucky and guessed, but going into the bush made it less likely you would get shot. So you could go in there, chill for a second, and heal up. Whereas Aquatic Warrior, if you're going somewhere where you're in the water, typically you're going to be really exposed to other people. And then the same is true with Rail Warrior, where if you're on the grind rails, like, you're really exposed to everyone around you, and then also you're making noise, and it's very limited in where you can get it. So I think Bush Warrior was a fine augment to have in the game. I feel like Rail Warrior and Aquatic Warrior, while they definitely will have times where they're useful, I feel like they're less useful and less practical than Bush Warrior was last season. Go for Broke is also a new augment that was added to the game today. I think this is probably one of the best of the new augments they added. And this gives you a flintlock pistol and the charged shotgun. So both of these weapons, I feel like, are very, I don't know if divisive would be the right word, but there's people that really don't care about them, and then there's people that love them, and these are like their favorite weapons. Like the charged shotgun, I've never really used it that much because I quit playing Chapter 2 Season 3, which was the season it was added. But I know a few good players that like this is their favorite shotgun. It's a very high skill weapon, but if you get used to using it and you kind of develop that playstyle, it can definitely be good. And I'm kind of interested to see how this plays in zero build. I'll maybe make a video later this week kind of trying it out in zero build and comparing it to the Havoc pump. And the flintlock pistol is the same way. I think this has been in the game several times over the course of recent seasons, just kind of in and out over time, so I'm sure many of you are more familiar with this than the charged shotgun. I believe the charged shotgun hasn't been in the game since Chapter 2 Season 8, so it's been a while. But the flintlock pistol, same thing. If you hit a headshot with it, it hits really hard. Even a body shot, I believe, hits for like 90-ish. And then it also has the mobility effect of it, which can be pretty useful. The game time augment gives you pizza and chug splashes. I think this will be really good, especially with how the augments are this season. I could see a world in which you kind of just like, especially if this is your last one, you kind of just let it sit there and then you don't get it until you need heals, similar to what you could do with the chug cannon. And I think having somebody on your team with this augment kind of in their back pocket at the ready for if you guys do get into a fight and need heals, you could throw the pizza down and then eat that and then maybe save some of the other heals that you would have gotten. Or the pizza only heals you to 150. So you could eat the pizza slices. Everybody on your team is 150. And then you could throw those chug splashes down and get the remaining like 50 shield you need from the chug splashes. I think this could be good. I still think the legendary slurp juice is going to be the best healing item in the game, but if you're in a situation where you have time to heal, especially in team game modes, I could see this being like very useful. And then finally we have the springtime blowout augment, which gives you the Easter egg launcher and 0 gravity eggs. This is obviously a temporary augment that will be removed at the end of the update. There's also specialist NPCs that were added in this update. These are things that have been like kind of leaked and hinted at for a while. I believe they spawn in with Rift events. I don't think there's any just like guaranteed spawn that like you go here and you get the specialist. But there's 4 different types of specialist NPCs. There's a scout NPC, which is armed with a sniper and will snipe at enemies as well as ping them and loot for you. I think that's pretty good. So it'll mark enemies for you. I don't really know how effective these NPCs are going to be at shooting because I've talked about it in several videos about the NPCs. I think they're borderline worthless, and most of the time I'm fighting somebody who has one, I just ignore the NPC and fight the person. So even if the scout NPC never hits a shot, them marking enemies for you can be helpful. The heavy specialist uses explosives and has more HP than other NPCs. Again, even if they don't hit the enemy, just causing chaos for them might be like somewhat helpful to you. The supply NPC drops ammo and mats for you if you're playing build mode. I really don't see this being that big of a deal unless it's like a large amount of mats. And then finally, there's a heal specialist, which will follow you around and heal you with chug splashes. I think this is the best specialist in the game. Of the specialists that exist, I feel like the heal and the scout one are the only ones that I would personally ever get. The build and edit sensitivity setting was added for keyboard in this update. So this was a setting for controller, which allowed you to have multipliers for your sensitivity for when you're building and editing. That way you could play on like a somewhat medium sense or a low sense, but still be able to build quickly. Back in the day, if you wanted to build quickly on controller, you needed to play on a really high sense. And this kind of created a divide where players had to choose between aim or building, but with build and edit sense, you didn't have to do that anymore. I'm not really sure how big of a deal this is going to be. I don't play keyboard. I don't really know much about like how keyboard players play the game. I think one of the reasons, or the way I've heard it talked about in the past, was like build and edit sense was really needed for controller because of the limited range of motion, but like keyboard players didn't really need to sacrifice like accuracy and building speed because there's like a larger range of motion with the mouse. But I'm sure there still will be many players that take advantage of this and like this setting being added to the game. Every named POI now has a cherry blossom tree at it, which is pretty interesting. It'll be cool to see if this has any kind of tie-in with the storyline or what's going on there. It kind of reminds me of Chapter 3, Season 3, where like the reality tree started spreading across the map and like you would have the bloom at different POIs. Imagine we get a world in which this biome, just like the new biome, starts taking over the map. That would be crazy. And then finally, the super styles were added in this week's update for the battle pass skin. So if you've level past, I believe, 125, you could start purchasing these extra styles, and they actually do look pretty solid compared to some of like the previous super styles we've seen for other Fortnite seasons. But that is going to be it for today's video. Hope you guys found this helpful and informative. If you did, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like some more, and comment down below what your favorite part of this week's update is. GG's. I didn't know he was in the bush, to be honest. I thought he was like down shooting at somebody. Thank God that guy doesn't have the sniper augment. Once he shot and missed, I figured I could just keep shooting there because like he has to reload. Is that in? Part of it is. Yeah, okay, so there is a sniper up top. Man was bizarre. Like he was trying to put me in the most inconvenient spot to be after I killed him. Like he was down to die. He just wanted me to be in a weird spot afterwards. GG's. Pulse rifle too good. Was that 20? I think it was. GG's.